And a finish for Saturday. And by the way, not exactly breaking news, but someone commented, Jay Snip, you need to do a video with Uncle Pete. 97. He just turned 97 this week. His memory is definitely starting to go. He's forgetting to eat. He's leaving food in his refrigerator. It's getting moldy. Forgetting a lot of stuff. Again, he's 97. Still walking. No chair, no wheelchair, no helper. Walking around himself. But he did say a little while back, he's ready. I'm ready to go. Been here long enough. I'm ready to go. To the other side. But he lived through the Depression. He was young. Went into the military. He's been a Democrat his entire life. And I asked him the other day, which was as in months and months ago before the election, I think. Or maybe it was right after the election. I don't remember. Before or after. It was before. It was before. Who are you going to vote for? Oh, Hillary. He had a Hillary sticker on his. And I said, I'm just curious why her? Just something about her in particular? Or he says, well, no, I'm a Democrat. My father was a Democrat. His father was a Democrat. I'm a Democrat, and I vote for the party. That was it. I'm not going to get in an argument with Uncle Pete. Cannot. I would never. But aside from that, not that even matters anymore. But it just does show you that it could be generational where we're always Republicans. We're always Democrat. We're always this. Doesn't matter who it is. We pick them. But he has an interesting life story to tell. He's actually written a book himself that he put together. I have a copy. My wife hasn't. He did 2 different books. Really cool thing. I thought to myself, man, what if I said, Uncle Pete, how many of these things can you get published? It's a fascinating read of a 97-year-old man from when he was young. I remember him telling me a story about during World War II. Before we got involved, we were trading with the enemy, so to speak, off the coast, east coast of the United States, meeting ships that were in the war and helping them with stuff stealthily. He knew that for a fact. Never heard that in my life, actually. But then we got involved later. So you could see the United States, without the approval of anybody, citizens or anyone else, we were already involved in the World War II before we really announced and said we're going to go over there. Before any event happened that made us get mad and go over there. We were already helping. But interesting story. And I remember asking him about the Depression. How did you people survive? What was it like? And I'm bringing my camera this weekend because we're going to Uncle Pete's. Not too long of a drive from here. We're going to Uncle Pete's and we're going to record him. It could be the last living video of Uncle Pete. He's 97. He's going. I'm pretty sure he'll be able to recall that stuff because I still have, even though he forgets things, it's more like quick for, short term, whatever, not long term. He can tell you the stories just like he did the first time. So I want to do that. That's going to be a video coming up here shortly, in the very, very, very near future. Wolf Richter site has an article. Italy, the banking system in the EU is worse than you can imagine. But if I had to spot, if I had a flashlight and I wasn't allowed to encompass the whole EU and I had to pick a spot, it would be focused really close to or dead on top of Italy. Webbot said, I must give credit, so long ago, watch the Italian banks, there's going to be big problems with the Italian banking system. Before I was even doing videos about, Italy's in trouble, Italy banking problem, rapid fire, way before all that. Now we got articles coming out all the time. So he says, here's Italy's latest plan B, where desperation meets insanity. Selling securities backed by defaulted loans to negative interest rate refugees, he says. Nerves are beginning to fray in Italy's banking sector as pressure rises on the worst hit banks to remove the most noxious elements off their books, most likely at big discounts that will further impair their balance sheets. On Saturday, Italy's finance minister Pier Carlo Pedone begged the European Central Bank for more time for the banks to clean up their act. We just need a little more time. Gonna take a little time to think things over in my life. All right, sorry about that. You ever do that? You're reading something and you see a line and it just, boom, 80s hit, boom, sing it. Probably not, because I've never seen anyone in my life do that. I'm the only moron that does that. Sorry about that, but thanks. Well, what's this? Realist News Contact. Hey Joe, thanks very much for your video. Sorry if you've seen this, but I thought you might be interested. Lots of interesting stuff in this one, for me at least. This comes up in your blogs. It's on YouTube here at 52 minutes. Paul Joseph Watson and Stefan move on to the YouTube demonetization stuff and some great stuff on PewDiePie that illustrates the power an independent producer can now have. The fact CNN, Fox, etc. are doomed, just looking at the age range of an audience which is really surprisingly old to me, and of course can't last forever. Just an idea, but you could copy your video blogs onto VidMe if YouTube is beginning to look unreliable as a service channel. Okay, there's no chance. Let me just say this. I appreciate that. I'm going to check out the video, but there's no chance YouTube is going to sit idly by and basically allow everyone else to take up the ad space and everything else. They're going to do everything in their power to keep it. They have to. And the advertisers, as I've said before, who have to get their product in your face. Consumers consume. Consumers consume this one. No, consume ours. No, ours is better. The leading test of Bounty Picker-Upper versus the leading brand of no-name nonsense. They've got to get it in your face. And if YouTube is the most viewed video source of all the world, they're going to be coming back. Like I said, the last few days, and I hope this is a trend, double fingers crossed, my revenue went up, up, and up. 3 of them. 3 nice high, like a chart you'd want to see on the U.S. economy that would make you really happy. Like not just a little bit up, but up a good bit more, and up even a good bit more than that. Still not where it needs to be, but it's working its way back up there. So I hope that's a trend that, okay, we've done this long enough. We got to get, because the first quarter of U.S. was horrible. Sales, retail. We've tried to play a game with everybody. It's not working. People are still producing videos on YouTube, whether they make ad revenue or not, especially that damn Jason before. He didn't slow down at all. Time to advertise. What the hell with it? That's what I see happening. I'm hoping happens. You hear this? Watch this. Watch this. That's me smoking some hopium. Money back in the good old days. Google, tell me about the good old days of advertising money. Double hit. I think that was 80s or was that 70s too? Anyways, back on track before I get too carried away here. So, Italy's finance minister begging ECB for more time. Needs a little time to think things over. We cannot demand that suddenly banks offload their non-performing loans, because this could be potentially destabilizing, especially if the problem involves several banks in the same banking system, he told a news conference. By several banks, he means perhaps the 114 banks of the close to 500 banks in Italy that have, as I used the word the other day, what they call the Texas ratio of over 100%. And the Texas ratio, or TR, not to be confused with a TR-3B highly advanced spacecraft, but just the TR, Texas ratio, is calculated by dividing the total value of a bank's non-performing loans by its tangible book value plus reserves. Or, as money manager Steve Eisman put it, all the bad stuff divided by money you have to pay for all of the bad stuff divided by the money you have to pay for all of the bad stuff. If the TR is over 100%, the bank doesn't have enough money to pay for all the bad stuff, and it tends to fail. In Italy, 24 banks are estimated to have ratios of over 200%. Now, I covered the other day the specifics on which banks were over 200, which ones were over 150, 180, one was over 100, and some other ones creeping up to 100. When you hit the 100, even close to it, it's usually good night. On Tuesday, it was the governor of Bank of Italy, Ignazio Visco's turn to plead for more time. Quote, the majority of bad loans are held by banks whose financial position does not require to sell them immediately, he told European Union lawmakers. One bank that does need to sell its bad loans immediately, originally planned for last year, is the poster child of Italy's financial crisis. You know that bank. I've mentioned it too many times. Monte dei Paschi. According to a new report by Il Sole 24 Ore, the world's oldest bank has a new, highly creative plan to save itself from the brink, which is actually an old plan that's been dug up from the archives and repackaged. The securitization option is back in the cards for the disposal of 29 billion euros of non-performing loans at Italian lender Monte Paschi, maybe with U.S. investment bank JP Morgan, brokering that deal. Of course, JP Morgan has to have its tentacles everywhere. This will be the strong point of the group's industrial plan under consideration at the European Commission. That's right, the new strong point of Monte dei Paschi, latest self-salvation scheme is to securitize 29 billion of toxic debt and spread it as far and as wide as possible with the help of none other than JP Morgan Chase brokering that deal. In other words, have we finally reached the juncture of Italy's banking crisis where desperation meets insanity, the insanity of yield-starved investors, those negative interest rate refugees that have been tortured for too long by the European Central Bank's negative interest rate policy? Yeah, let's chase that momentum. We're tired of negative interest rates. Let's go after that chunk. Securitize and repackage those garbage assets. Under this plan, the bank would slice, dice, and repackage non-performing financial assets, such as loans, residential or commercial mortgages, or other sometimes uncollateralized Italian sofferings or bad debt, into asset-backed instruments which can then be sold to yield-starved, gullible investors all over the world. This is riskier than the subprime mortgage-backed securities in the U.S. that played a major role in the global financial crisis. Now banks, central banks, regulators, and governments are talking about allowing the same to happen with assets that are not just at risk of failure, but have already failed. In some cases, they haven't generated income for years, and in many cases, they are personal or business loans that are not backed by any collateral of any kind. So what are you selling, right? What are you selling if there's nothing there? It's like Bill O'Reilly on the Bill O'Reilly meltdown. No, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Yeah, it says, no, there's nothing on the screen. There's nothing there. Effing thing sucks. If you've never seen that in your life, you have got to search YouTube. Bill O'Reilly meltdown. Oh, it is one of my favorite. I've even started some YouTube videos in the very beginning. I'm Jason4, and that's it for today. What is that? I don't know what that is. What is that? To play me out. To play me out. What is that? What does that mean? What does it mean? Like to end the show, to play us out. Okay. To end the show? Okay, go. I'm Jason4, and that's it for today and tomorrow. I can't do it. Goddamn. I'll write it, and we'll do it live. F it, we'll do it live. And he has a meltdown of epic proportion. That's the elitist mindset. Can't take that I just failed. Even though it wasn't public at the time. It's not like it was live. I look like an idiot, and I'm an elitist, and I'm mad. I'm going to scream and cuss at everybody. Gets up and slams the thing off of his shirt, It is epic. I love it. So, the idea is for investors to use the inadequate and slow-moving Italian legal system to collect on this often illusory collateral, if any. Financial Times describes the idea of securitizing non-performing loans as subprime derivatives on steroids. And by the way, Warren Buffett calls derivatives weapons of financial mass destruction. So these are subprime derivatives on steroids. What would we call that? The MOAB. Weapons of mass destruction? The mother of all weapons of financial mass destruction. That's what we can call that one. But only in relation to China's plans to do exactly the same thing with its own non-performing loans, which according to official figures recently surpassed the $200 billion mark. The Financial Times has been a lot less critical of the same plans being hatched in Italy. Some economists are even calling for a Europe-wide securitization of toxic debt. As the Financial Times reports, one major hurdle Chinese banks currently face in securitizing their debt, which, by the way, let me stop for a second. A lot of this is mortgage, defaulted mortgages. How's that high-end prices we're all looking at going to work out for too much longer when they have to get rid of those turds? They're going to have to put them on the market ultimately, whether, people haven't paid in 5 years, 7 years, whatever. We got to get rid of them. So they're going to sell them. And they're going to take the biggest haircut ever. We just have to get this, put them on auction, get whatever the hell we can. So anyone that has doing the right thing, own your house, and you want to sell, you're now going to be competing with banks that are already doing the default thing and the foreclosure thing on people and going to auction. Again, just go to Zillow, pick any main city in your area and surround it and go to all over the damn map and watch how many little blue for sales. Like, don't put any criteria in, like 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. Just let it all show up. Show me everything that's for sale. Foreclosure, auction, auction. It's out of control. So now if we do a Europe-wide securitization of debt, at least in Europe, they're going to have to compete. And who can out-compete a bank that is selling a bunch of homes, one after the other, at auction? As in, bidder number one, do I hear $100? Yep. $200. Yep. $500, $1,000, $2, $10, $15. They'll only bid up the price as high as they're willing to go on a distressed asset that's been sitting there for a while, needs some work. It's going to be a fire sale. And you're not going to have companies bidding these things way up to insane levels like we are today to get a piece of that action. To them, no, this is fire sale garbage, so I'm not paying a premium. I'm not even paying normal prices. I'm going to get it at a low price because I'm going to have to fix it up. It's not been lived in for years. And everyone's going to have the same mindset. In order for me to do that and then turn a profit and fix it up, sell it or rent it, these prices today are too much, too high. As the Financial Times reports, one major hurdle Chinese banks currently face in securitizing their debt is getting rated by the international ratings agencies. Not that it stopped them. As for the banks in Italy, they are less likely to face such a problem. As part of a deal reached with the European Union in January 2016, Italian banks can bundle bad loans into securities and buy state guarantees for the least risky portions, provided those notes have an investment grade credit rating. So the taxpayer would not only be on the hook for a portion of the non-performing loans underlying these securities, but also for the fees and profits generated along the way to securitize them. Heads we win, tails you taxpayer schmucks lose. Heads the banks win, tails you lose. In the first iteration of this process depicted in this infograph, which I'm not even going to need to point out, executed in September 2016, Popular di Bari got informal approval from PricewaterhouseCoopers LLP and the Bank of Italy not only to remove the entire face value of the bad loans from its books, but also to keep the senior portion of its securitization. The result? Healthier looking balance sheets, while the risk posed by its toxic assets have been shifted elsewhere. They still exist. Since then, Italy's biggest and sole global systemically important bank, GSIB UniCredit, has joined the party, shedding 17.7 billion euros of non-performing loans into two separate securitization vehicles, one managed by PIMCO and the other by Fortress Investment Group. UniCredit retained minority stakes. The transaction was aptly dubbed Project Fino, as in everything is just fine. Can you even believe repackaging of MBS, mortgage-backed securities? The same thing we did in this country, and they were doing it in Europe too. Repackaged them all. Many got packaged in there that were rated AAA, and they should have never even been close. Did we prosecute the bank? No, we can't do that. Eric Holder said we can't go after them because we feel like the damage that'll be done if we do go after them to the economy will be in the markets, will be so severe, it warrants not going after these criminal bankers. Now, he never used the word criminal. He would never call the bankers criminal. Absolutely not. So what do? We have the worst of the worst toxic assets We're going to repackage them and sell them off to investment groups because we know they want to chase yield interest rates, and they're getting none over here in Europe with our negative and zero interest rates. So they may bite this. God help any of you if you let some company manage your money, your retirement, your 401k. And I can already hear you all saying we all do. Jason Ipfor, that's what we all do when we have a company we work for that offers 401k. We don't get to tell them what to do with it. We just pick. Least risky, medium risky, or high risky? Higher risk. Which one? Pick 3. In this country, we have elections. We have 2 choices. Democrat, Republican. Meet both of the same bosses. Both heads of the same, person. 2 different heads looking, but they're both attached to the same entity, if you will. Well, for your 401k, we're pleased to tell you you have 3 choices. Not risky, kind of risky, and definitely risky. But they're still managing it. And are they even going to be aware that maybe some of whatever basket of risk they've invested in somewhere happens to be in this and some other ones? And what about the American toxic assets on the Federal Reserve's balance sheet that they said we're going to have to start unwinding? There's 1.4 or 5 trillion, I think, of toxic mortgage-backed security type assets Federal Reserve has to offload. How are you going to do that? Are we going to find the same damn thing? Something similar, sell it to a bank, and then the bank takes it and does that and repackages it? My goodness. I hope you got your medals and a little Bitcoin on top. Like a little cherry on top, a little Bitcoin on top. Take care.